Welcome back to another video, and in today's one we're going to go through how we achieved 2 revenue records for a 7-figure brand within 4 months of working together using our proven e-commerce email marketing strategies. Now I'm going to walk you through step by step how we did this without the brand having to spend a single cent on paid advertising. Now first of all, here's a proof, and I'll just make my face a little bit smaller. But first of all, we hit the revenue record in May, just up 2% on their best month ever. Then in July, we hit their best month ever, just 2 months later. So there's 4 key components to this strategy. Now, this document is a bit word heavy, so what I might do is I might leave a link to access this in the description if you'd like to read through it a bit further. But just a high-level overview of it, we use personalized journey mapping, a symphony of strategies, margin-savvy engagement, and the pursuit, of perfection. Now, just going back to personalized journey mapping, what do I exactly mean by that? So when we took on this client, we built them out 10 automated flows from scratch, aimed at each part of the customer journey. So what the result was unprecedented engagement and conversion rates. Second of all, we use a symphony of strategies, and this more relates to the campaign structures that we set up. So generally, we would send out about 12 to 15 campaigns per month, blending direct response copywriting with value-driven emails. So this kind of gave us a nice mix of direct selling, mixed with kind of like blog style content, newsletter style content, and also the client is running a podcast, so we were also plugging that in as well, as value driven emails. Then in terms of margin savvy engagement, so this was actually key to our entire strategy, because what you need to remember when you're doing email marketing is you need to make sure that you're pushing like a high quality, high volume of leads into your list every single month. So the way you can do this is obviously having a very optimized pop-up form. Now, what was very interesting for this brand is we actually used a lead magnet, which was a PDF. Now, we don't lose any margin on this pop-up form, which meant that obviously the first orders are going to be very, very profitable, rather than obviously giving away, let's say, a 20, 30% discount or whatever you choose. So there was absolutely no loss of margin on that first sale. Then the pursuit of perfection. Essentially, what this means is, like, whenever we set up any flow, it's never set and forget. You always have to be constantly optimizing. Now, this will completely depend on what level your brand is at or what level your clients are at, because this client that we were working with, they have a very high volume of contacts going through their flows at any one time, or any given week or any given month. That means that we need to be testing things and we need to be changing things very, very quickly. Now, what we do find with obviously some clients that we're working with who might have a lower volume, you might be leaving your tests run a bit longer. The reason being is because if you get, like, let's say 1,000 people through an email within a flow in a week, you're going to have a lot more data to work with, as opposed to if you're working with a client and they had only 50 people going through an email in a flow. Therefore, your A/B tests are going to be much more statistically significant with the higher volume. So this was very key. This is like a massive, area that we kind of doubled down on in terms of like optimizing the flows that we currently had set up and just running new tests, which obviously gave us the marginal gains on our flows week over week. So then just moving on, if we just talk about the automated flows in a bit more detail. So here's just a screenshot of the performance of the flows. Now, it's going to be key to understand that 80% of your flows performance is going to come from about 4 to 5 flows. So that would normally include your welcome series, your abandoned cart, your abandoned checkout, your browse abandonment, and perhaps your post-purchase flow as well. Why it's really key to have your post-purchase flow performing really well is because those orders are going to be very profitable for the brand. Because if the brand is running paid advertising, those repeat purchases are going to be much more profitable to the brand rather than getting that first purchase. So that is key, keeping customers coming back time and time again. So it is expected to see the welcome series and abandoned checkout at the top of the pile. But more importantly, as I mentioned, just notice how the post-purchase sits in 4th position. So it's really key to have very strong retention flows. Yeah, it's great to have people or have very strong, let's say, pre-purchase flows, but your post-purchase flows are just as important, and they're actually, if not more important, for profitability for the brand. So if we just scroll down a bit, blending direct response and value campaigns. So what do I mean by that? So what I've done is I've included some examples of some copy that we've used for different various direct response copywriting emails that we sent out. So generally, like, some key components of direct response copywriting, it includes a strong and clear call to action, a unique selling proposition, an attention-grabbing headline, persuasive and engaging copy, proof elements, and a sense of urgency. So if you try to incorporate all of these into your emails, I guarantee they're going to do quite well. Now, I will say, we found that if we overuse direct response copywriting, it can kind of annoy customers at times. So we do like to mix in that kind of educational content. So again, the blog style content, newsletters, podcast emails, whatever it is, whatever kind of value you can provide to the customers and to your subscribers, definitely weave that into your strategy, because you don't want to be always selling and always, like, I suppose, hard selling your customers. But here's some examples. So what we did with this client is we used a lot of plain text emails because they just do exceptionally well. They do really well because obviously they come across as personal. Secondly, as well, it's really good for your email deliverability, because the likes of Gmail, Yahoo, Apple Mail, they all love plain text emails. So it's really good for your deliverability. And second of all, as well, you can also provoke responses as well through plain text emails. And by getting responses, that's just going to boost your sender reputation even more. So again, I'll leave the link to this doc in the description. So if you want to have a further look at these examples, you can do so. And here's another example. So strong headlines, strong call to action, persuasive copy, and another strong call to action at the bottom. So in terms of value-driven emails, so when it came to these, the strategy was simple. So just to give as much value to the customer as possible, without actually asking for anything, essentially. So again, this will come in the form of newsletters, blog style emails, podcast emails, how-to product guide emails, dosage information as well, because this is a supplement brand, and also plain text emails from the founder. So this is incredibly important because it plays on one of Robert Cialdini's, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that right, one of his 6 principles of persuasion in his book, Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. So essentially, reciprocity, again, I can't even pronounce that, is a social norm where if someone does something for us, we feel obligated to do something for them in return. In other words, people are more likely to give when they receive first. So it's key to kind of keep giving. Again, coming back to the blog style emails, just giving as much value as you can. The podcast style emails as well, if your brand or if your client runs a podcast. And obviously the how-to product guides as well. You're there to help the customer at the end of the day. So obviously try to provide them as much value as possible. So just coming to the pop-up form. So contrary to popular belief, you don't actually have to marginalize, can't even pronounce what I was saying. You don't have to have margin cannibalizing 30% discounts on your pop-up form to get it to convert at a high level. Obviously you're going to get a higher opt-in rate, but like you're going to be harming your profit, especially on that first order. So instead you can play around with these kind of offers. So like get, let's say 10% off when you spend $30, free gift with purchase, free shipping, and our free guide and PDF that's the one we used. So again, with this client, we opted for the last option, a free guide, which educates the customer on one of the product's key ingredients. So this is really good because number one, it's saving margin. And number two, it's also priming the customer to kind of understand the benefits a bit deeper through a kind of like long form PDF about the product that they're hopefully about to buy. So having our pop-up converting at about 13 to 17% consistently has been crucial to everything, because that just means we're getting more and more people through our flows into our funnel, and essentially more subscribers does equal more revenue. Finally, then the optimization. So coming back to that, each week we ran split test reports based off of every single flow. Now we did pay special attention to the ones that were getting the most volume. For example, your welcome series is going to get much more volume than, let's say, perhaps your customer win back or like a VIP flow. So you're going to be testing more rapidly and changing more things more rapidly on those higher volume flows. Again, comes back to that 80-20 principle. So here's some examples of things that we tested. So it would include subject lines, preview text, call to actions. We tested plain text versus design as well. That's also key because just coming back to another client that we're working with, we decided to actually shift nearly 80% of their campaign sends to plain text because we've just tested design versus plain text. And plain text has outperformed most of the time, if not all of the time. So again, that's very important. As long as it kind of, if plain text is kind of in line with the brand, I would definitely recommend testing that out. Now, for example, using plain text is kind of suitable for like consumer packaged goods. So like, let's say supplements, it can work for skincare as well. But if you're working for, let's say, a brand who's in fashion, a fashion brand, or let's say a furniture brand, you wouldn't be using as much plain text emails as you could get away with using it for, let's say, a supplement brand. So just bear in mind that it would kind of depend on the brand you're working with and whether it just kind of is suitable or not. A few other things we tested were send times, fairly obvious one, sender names as well. So sending from, let's say, the founder's name or maybe a member of staff's name, and then also testing out different reviews. So something that was interesting, which we tested out, which would apply to a lot of brands, because most brands would maybe have one or two, like let's say a celebrity or some kind of endorsement from someone who's well known. So what we did is we actually split tested 2 different review blocks from 2 different, let's say, well-known people in the space. And we found out that there was massive differences in sales. So there was a decent enough difference in sales on the Welcome series. So that's just something that might be interesting to you for your brand or for your clients to test out if they do have those styles of reviews. So basically that that puts an end to the video. Essentially, again, look, it's quite text heavy at the end, so I'll include a link to this at the bottom if you are interested in reading it a bit more. But basically, if you are a brand who's doing at least 50K a month and you want a consistent stream of new customers into your business and a way to convert those customers into brand advocates, all while adding at the very, very least 15 to 30K to your monthly recurring revenue in 90 days or less, then you can head to this link to book in a chat with myself and we can walk you through your plan to success. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments and hopefully I'll see you very soon.